So you're advocating for single moms?
No, I am advocating for women to go get educated because your kids end up doing better statistically.
Bro. Okay.
Bruh. It's fine. You wanted to ask the question to Ty if intelligence matters as much. Because, I was saying for me it's not as important on the totem pole, but what about you?
Well, IQ is heritable, like you said. It's like 0.8. So I wouldn't have kids with a dumb girl. But I think with a balance of what you're trying to say, there's truth. Men, here's the thing. We search for our genes to offset our weaknesses. That's why, for example, like really tall dudes will be dating a 5'2" girl. Because that dude knows subconsciously, like my stepdad was 6'7", and my mom was like average height, and he didn't care. And so you'll see a lot of really tall dudes. In fact, tall women complain about the fact, all the tall dudes don't care. I'm like, because he brings so much to the table. So a super high IQ or a higher IQ dude oftentimes will not care quite as much about IQ
so
because
you don't
he's
believe
subconscious.
in assortative mating or the similarity attraction?
So assortative mating is an interesting one. You're smart that you know that. Assortative mating is an interesting thing. Sometimes we're attracted, but it's very domain specific. Sometimes we're attracted to our equals, like arm length studies. They've done stuff like that. But sometimes we're okay with our opposites.
Yeah, but generally people tend to date with the attraction similarity hypothesis too, across IQ, across education.
One standard deviation. So, for example, a man who has like, let's say a high IQ man, 145, that's pretty smart. You start to get astrophysicist level. He'll be okay with a woman that's one standard deviation. So a 145 doesn't need a 145. In fact, the sciences in general, and you could say this is good or bad, men tend to date slightly lower IQ. But
overall in the same bracket is what we're saying.
Yes, if you're 145 IQ, if you're Stephen Hawking, 155, you can't be dating a 100 IQ. Exactly. You have nothing to talk about.
Yeah, exactly.
But the point is, I think the truth about it is men are superficial. We think it's superficial, but it's actually very intelligent. Men are also a badass businessman. Okay, take Elon Musk. He's not necessarily out there marrying his intellectual equivalent. Look at who he married.
Yeah.
He didn't marry his intellectual equivalent. He's a smart, almost savant level. So I think these are tricky things. I think what you're saying is true. Men like agreeableness. Yeah. But I think it goes deeper. I think where women get mad is they think it's some kind of evil thing. Men have preferences because it worked. You know? I saw this at the Amish, for example. The Amish have the lowest divorce rate in the world. Happiest people. Old school, I'll tell you, back when there was physical labor, women never wanted men's jobs. I see it. I'm going this week. I go. Dudes are out here. I was at an Amish community that was super old fashioned. They were cross-cutting logs. And so men were strong and powerful, and everybody was good with it, and the women were okay. They're like, I don't want to do that. I want to cook and raise a family. Part of it is that men can't have kids, so you got to have delegation of the sexes. So women, we can't give birth. Women have a superpower. You know what I mean?
So women are special?
Of course. I mean, the sex, giving birth's a big fucking thing, man. That's why I think sometimes women get mad that men care that they can have kids and, we're just baby making machines. You reproduce life, man. Ain't nothing wrong with that.
They also found that the higher IQ for a man, the more ability he has to be married, but the higher IQ points for women, the lower the probability of finding a mate and getting married. So like it tells you that men don't care about that shit in general. Like, yeah, is it cool to be able to have a girl that's not a retard? Sure. But in general, like if a girl's hot, a guy's gonna be like, you know what? I'm willing to tolerate her being less intelligent. Like
they're gonna get in more arguments though, because she's not gonna understand.
Actually,
and
the intelligent girl's gonna be
more combative.
She's gonna be more combative.
And I'm sure you know about proximity.
I mean,
if you're intelligent, you're around a lot of other intelligent people. If you're a lawyer like I am, I'm an exception, but you're around usually a lot of other lawyers, and lawyers tend to marry other lawyers. Doctors tend to marry other doctors. They're intelligent women are highly college educated women, again, we're the only ones who our divorce rates aren't going down. They don't seem to have trouble finding husbands.
Yeah, it's not even agreeableness has nothing to do with age. It has to do with your demeanor. No, it doesn't.
Fuck.
You think you're gonna argue more? Have you been in relationships where you argue a lot when you're when you're a 40-year-old couple, or you think you're going to have more arguments in a relationship with a 21-year-old couple? The 21-year-old couple is going to fight way more than the older couple.
Well, that's why men prefer women that are younger than them.
But if you marry a woman under 25, you're divorced. Statistically, you're going to be way more likely to get divorced.
And that depends on their age too, because there's just, I don't know how many men you guys talk to, but besides in Miami, but people just want to be able to relate to the person that they're around all the time. And you can't relate that well to someone who's that
not necessarily
much younger.
hyper masculine men prefer hyper feminine women.
Hyper masculine?
Yes, the guys that are the guys that women find attractive, the dominant and assertive guys, they typically want a very feminine woman.
Well, that's a different thing. You can be feminine at any age, obviously, but agreeableness and your demeanor and your personality is something you're going to carry through your life. If you're an argumentative, combative person when you're 18, you're going to be like that when you're 40. Or if you're like a calm, like more reasonable person when you're young.
Arguing, being non-agreeable is not a feminine trait.
Being agreeable is feminine?
Being non-agreeable is not a feminine trait. That's a more masculine trait to be non-agreeable.
But and then that's
what men don't like. Like, men don't want to sit there and argue with women. Like, it's
but that and you're right about that. But I'm just saying that being that way, it has nothing to do with age. Maybe it is about your testosterone levels.
Women that
as
are
a
younger
woman.
are going to be, if you're an older guy and you're with a younger girl, it's going to be less likely for her to argue with you. And then if she's also had less experiences, she's been less promiscuous.
So why
That's
is she
not
more
true.
likely to divorce you than a woman who's closer to your age?
She's going to argue with you all the time because she's young and mature.
I'm not believing anything you're saying because you say a bunch of BS stats.
I mean, guys, look it up. Don't get your
literally come on here and you say a bunch of nonsense that isn't necessarily true.
I will post everything to my Instagram if you guys want to follow it.
Yeah, sure.
No, fuck out of here.
I'm just speaking from experience.
Like you came in here last time and you said a bunch of BS and I got a million DMs like, this is a lie, this is a link, blah blah blah. Does she make this astroturf? It's a lie.
You don't get. That's how you don't look at you. You do actual research. You don't look at your illiterate chat or DMs.
No, they literally gave me the data and they're like, yo, don't bring this girl back.
So
like, I'll be honest, I am amazed that you're here again because it's like,
I mean, I didn't know. Sorry.
The amount of like, what the fuck, Chris? Like, yo, the amount of complaints that I got from you being here last time and things that you said.
Your chat doesn't like. Your chat doesn't like when you get challenged. They want to just see women getting roasted.
No, it's not about that.
It's not about that.
If you're gonna come.
These are just the stats, guys. I'm not making this up. You guys all have access to the internet.
Do you see how you cut him off right now? Like, he was talking.
I'm sorry for cutting you off.
But you do it many times.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like I said before. You've said a bunch of things that have been fact checked and they're not true.
This is true. You guys have access to the internet. You can check it.
Well, one thing on disagreeable, for sure, testosterone is what makes you disagreeable, and men are sometimes 40x. Like I was telling them on the other show, like I did my blood test one time, and my total test was 1,200, and then my cousin did it, Maya, and she was 35 or something, and I told her, oh, you gotta do it again. The lab must have broke, and she's like, I called the doctor, and he said that's normal. So men tend to be, I'll give you this example. You got somebody breaking in your house. You want 10 Navy SEAL like police dudes showing up, ripping somebody to shreds. You don't want, in general, women are going to be much less aggressive. And so when you were talking about raising kids, one of the things that science shows is that a man is, for like a son, a father and a son, there's certain times in life. It's good to always have a father around, but a father's extra important at certain times. You actually brought up teenagers. Like only a father can stop a son who's big and strong from getting out of hand. I remember I had a big stepdad, 6'7" guy. Like I was kind of a strong-willed kid. So yeah, the single family thing, just going back, I'm bringing up some past stuff. Sometimes there's a reason nature created. You got to go deep. Why did ferns do asexual reproduction? The plant ferns, they do little spores. My grandpa was an expert on ferns. He used to say there's no male and females here. Earthworms, they don't have males and females. They have like hermaphrodite reproduction. But for some reason nature, or if you're more religious, you could say God made sexual reproduction. And so a lot of this stuff we argue about, we're arguing with nature. We're arguing with God. God made two. And so a kid needs two. And whenever you don't have two, you have a problem. Now, as I said, my personal belief, I don't know if I'm red pill, blue pill, whatever, marriage is man-made. A lot of times, if you believe in the Bible, these motherfuckers weren't getting married. You know, people weren't all, marriage is a new thing. But long-term mating, man, women being together, raising a kid, that shit has been there forever and it's important. And I do think men in general are meaner, grumpier. And so a lot of dudes don't want to have a kid with their exact equal mean, grumpy woman. They just don't. There needs to be an offsetting. Now, I do agree once in a while there's happy couples where the woman is the mean, grumpy one and the male. But in general, it's just not that way. It's like the science is in. You know what's funny? You get a lot of truth when you live on a farm with animals. Because I have a farm and you don't have to worry about adjusting for culture. Like my cows, the bulls are fucking mean, dude. You're 100 times more likely to get killed by a bull. You know, these bulls are mean. And actually in a textbook, this is interesting. If you look at it's called grading cattle. So if you grade cattle, which ones you buy on a farm, they actually look on a dairy cow, you look for feminine features. Isn't that crazy? You're taught like in agribusiness school, like the top school, you look for like a cow that has bigger eyes because it's a healthier female. So a lot of this shit we argue about, nature already figured this out. So obviously humans are complex and there needs to be some variation and there's little leeway, but their patterns are here, man. The patterns are here. Men are big, strong, shit ton of testosterone, psychopaths, almost all males. You look on the Wikipedia, last 1,000 serial killers, 990 of them are men. Men are more ruthless with stuff like that. So I think there's a lot of truth. I'm a pretty alpha dude. I'm not the most alpha guy, but I'm alpha enough. I do better with feminine women. I've tried, like the girls that I've lasted the longest with were my opposite because I get enough of myself. When I come home, I'm like, shit, I don't want myself. You know what I'm saying? I do agree though with you on one thing. I'm not having kids with no fucking absolute stupid woman because you will dilute your IQ too much. You will dilute if you're a smart dude, you can't be with the fucking moron. Like that shit is too much of a dilution. But I don't know if I tend to not date women that are exactly into science and this and that, you know, but anyway.
Well, and don't you think that, well, okay, so then when age comes into play and you're like a 35-year-old man.
Well, now we're getting into it. Well, we started bringing up age.
Well, no, because you're saying you don't want to date a dumb woman. And then like age doesn't mean you're dumb. If you're 21 years old, you could have a high IQ or be intelligent, but you just don't have the life experience and the knowledge that comes with all those years. So there's still going to be a huge gap.
That's good though. Men want that. We want women that are moldable. Like women value competence. We don't give a shit about that.
Some women are not moldable, and you will find that out once you're with them.
And IQ and competence kind of go hand in hand.
Then we leave.
But yeah,
simple.
I mean, yeah, if a girl's not, you want a girl that's gonna follow your lead. She's gonna be moldable. She's gonna be more on your program. Like guys masculine men want to be with women that are gonna follow them.
So you don't want a woman who's like, okay, oh, you want this? Okay, I know what to do. Like, okay, here, I'm gonna do this. Bitch! You want a woman who's gonna be like, huh? What do I do? Can you tell me what to do?
Yeah, you teach her one time, and then she's gonna learn, and then she'll do it, and then she gets it.
Yeah.
So but shouldn't she like maybe learn from her parents or her family how to?
I mean, that's fantastic if that happens, but let's be honest here. Most girls come from a single parent household with a single mom.
Most girls do?
Yes.
Yes, most people don't have two parent households in the United States.
You mean okay? They're not married yet.
Okay, we can move on.
Anyway, yeah.
Hey, chat ones are gone, man.
They want to leave?
Yeah, they have pitchforks and shit, man.